Are you ready for the golden age? The Quantum Galaxy Network presents Making Life Brighter on the Voice America Variety Channel, where we prepare you and the planet for the golden age. Making Life Brighter features experts in their field and visionaries sharing their unique keys for sustainability on Earth, including all cutting-edge healing modalities, consciousness training, and natural healing. Tune in every Thursday for valuable golden nuggets of universal harmony and coherency with body, mind, and spirit. Each week, Winifred introduces you to thought leaders, best-selling authors, influencers, and Grammy Award-winning musicians. Making Life Brighter is your source for inspiring us to live in cooperation and purpose as we prepare for the golden age and beyond. The Quantum Galaxy Network invites you to join Making Life Brighter as we prepare for the golden age. Making Life Brighter is your forum for healing, inspiring, and uplifting entertainment. Here is your host, Winifred Adams.
Good morning, everybody out there. I hope you're going jolly, and I hope you're not sweltering in this heat and that you're finding some reprieve this summer. Holy cow. I was just talking with our engineer, Matt, and wow, my goodness, everybody's so hot at these record temperatures. So definitely stay cool and best of all, be hydrated. We think that if we drink lots of water that we're super hydrated, but in fact, I'm going to talk again today about the efficacy of using trace minerals, and we're going to talk about some other things. We're going to go into Candida and fungus today as a main focus, because when you have raging heat, even your pets can get Candida and fungus easily, just because they're kind of damp in the armpits and damp in places that can foster that kind of growth. And so we're going to talk about fungus and yeast Candida and why that is so detrimental to human health, especially. And it's something that they've been hinting at in the media, and that there's out of control fungus and fungus is not responding. And well, healthy immune systems tend to clean that up, but we're going to go into that today. Another shout out to all the people in Vermont who are really suffering from the recent floods. And for those of you around the world that are listening, we've been having some unprecedented opportunities here in the United States in the last few weeks, in the last 2 months, really. And for anyone that says that something is not changing in our world, it's hard to imagine that not to be true by looking at what's happening in flash flooding. Now, we know that there's some weather modification going on, and to what degree that's affecting things that we don't know. But what we do know is that things are happening and it's displacing people, it's causing issues. And just in the news recently, a big portion of a pharmaceutical lab shut down. It shut down because it burned down. And all these strange fires that are happening in supply chain factories and supply chain manufacturing houses across the country. That's been going on since the winter, and it's kind of interesting how that's going on. I'd like to point out to you that in Santa Monica, California, there's a homeopathic pharmacy that's been there forever and a day, and it's been kind of on the cutting edge of alternative wellness, as well as maybe a compounding pharmacy and a general pharmacy. So it's sort of both. But they've been putting out notices for the last 2 months, urging customers to get extra of their prescriptions because they're literally unable to get them now. This started in early June and has been going on now for a little while. So it would seem appropriate, the way the things that are playing out, that the powers that control the weather modification and interrupt supply chains, maybe willfully, are also targeting the ability for people to get their medications. it's kind of strange that multi-billion-dollar companies are having trouble with distribution for medications. Considering that that industry regulates and has created legislation so that they can't be sued, are controlling so much of the economy, both on advertising for national news, advertising across the board on most major programming, and the flow of income is massive. So we can send rockets out to space, we can send people out to space, we can send people to the depths of the ocean, but we can't seem to control a multi-billion-dollar industry that has a supply chain issue. That seems very strange. So for those of you that are dependent upon medication, you may want to check with your doctor and see if you can't get a 90-day supply of whatever it is that you need, or in some manner more than that, whatever you can do. But also be very, very wary of going online to get your medications or going over the border to get your medications, because more and more they're finding that these medications over the border in particular have been cartel controlled and actually altered in their substance, and that can be deadly. So pay attention to this announcement. Really, it's a warning, and it's kind of silent, but it's happening. So the pharmacy in Santa Monica is definitely ringing the alarm bells. It's out there, it's a real thing. Now the factory for some pharmaceutical company just burned down, or had a tornado. That's what it was. It had a tornado. That's crazy. So we could call it karma or whatever. Everybody on their side of the fence of the narrative is going to say something. But the point is, if people do rely upon those things, they may not be able to get them. So just be cognizant of the fact that you may want to stock up on things. Now, I've been ringing that alarm bell with natural healing, alternative health, natural supplements and supplies forever, because I saw it coming long before the C word hit. And I mentioned it to the people I was working with and the audience here back then. And then that happened. And what really did happen is it almost shut down some of the natural supplement companies. It was so serious because the supply chains were so backed up. Many of these companies outsource to other countries. The problem is the people that work the fields to pick the herbs and source them were not going to work. And they can't control that in another country. So hopefully they figured out that we have lots of land in the United States and we can do greenhouses here. We can kind of really go back to the source and grow our own. We can take care of us if we need to. But it came back online, albeit slowly, and there's still chunks in that armor. So again, I tell people, if there are things that work for you for, say, viral, or there's something that you're particularly dependent upon because you're mineral deficient or you don't uptake minerals very well, you may want to have extra things on hand always, so that you have your own built-in natural apothecary. For the herbs and the supplements that I've been speaking of with the smoky air and cleaning your bloodstream and detoxing toxic air, that supplement company, just so you know, is the top of the food chain for supplement companies for pharmaceutical grade testing. It's not pharmaceutical, but it's pharmaceutical grade testing. It's the highest testing for bugs, dirt, minerals, even radiation. And that brings me back to the point of a few previous shows of radiation. I keep hinting at the fact that Dulse liquid is good for you right now. There's a combination called thyroid activator that's really good to bump up the thyroid for people. I spoke about iodoral. Iodoral is something you can get on Amazon, and that's a potassium iodide formula. More and more people are coming into me, and through muscle testing or applied kinesiology, I'm seeing a trend right now in people that are being affected or appear to have been affected by some kind of radiation, and their thyroid seems to be sluggish suddenly. Now, this could be an amping up of, say, EMFs, and it's always a good idea to have those EMF protectors in your house and the EMF protectors on your phone, on your computer, everywhere, even for your pets. Remember, they can't get out and go away if something bothers them. They're subject to whatever you do. So when you have your 5G phone near them or next to your bed or in your bedroom, and they're near you, they have no choice. They can't go anywhere. But if you have these EMF protectors around, that can really help. It kind of cuts it in half, if not more. Another thing that I'll remind you of is the stem cell patches that I've been talking about. When you wear X39 and X49, you automatically have EMF protection on your body. That is huge. It's not only helping you build healthy stem cells, but it's actually staving off radio waves, gamma rays, anything that's coming in that's dissonant to your natural harmony of your biology, the organics of you. And you can find those stem cell patches at makinglifebrighter.com, and you'll see X39, click on the link and you can purchase them there. I recommend everybody come in at a silver, join under silver, and you get 3 months worth. You can even customize what patches you want. If you need help, email us at makinglifebrighter@yahoo. But to do that, if you purchase them at retail, they're super expensive. When you come in the silver or gold level, you can get a couple months worth. It's cool. So anyway, X39, X49 is natural EMF protection. What else could help your body at this time? Well, as we move into the things that are affecting us, we're having many X-class solar flares. We're having a magnetosphere differential taking place. The poles are starting to move. I mean, we're on it. It's happening. The volcanoes are going off and the earthquakes are rumbling. Alaska just had a 7.2. They expect a 6.0 somewhere near Oregon soon. That will travel all the way across the United States over into the East Coast as well. I mean, hold on, folks. If the humans on the earth aren't doing enough, Mother Earth is sort of protesting in her own way, and perhaps even cleansing in her own way. The beauty of the pandemic is that it ceased human activity, so the earth had a minute to breathe and kind of catch up to herself. The problem is it set the stage for behind the scenes 5G towers and a bunch of other things that are implemented while you weren't looking. So when we come back from our break, I'm going to go deep into the seriousness of fungal and candida and what's going on there. We're going to talk about immune building and staving off some of these things that are plaguing us, because people are showing up, and I'm hearing about a lot of people having cancer, having tumors, having sudden issues in their body systems. And this is a great time to take heed, get caught up, get healthier in this summer. I know that we're having also an unprecedented number of people having severe colds this summer. And that's kind of odd, right? In the middle of summer, where we'd have usually healthy fruits and juices and things that help us stay healthy. And people are coming down with just really a very serious cold. In fact, they even said that there are more people sick this summer than there were during the pandemic. And that's kind of alarming. So we're going to take a deeper dive look at that. And I just want you to realize that there are natural answers. And the human body is one of the most amazing instruments in the entire universe. And when you begin to tune into your higher self and your spirit, your immune system also comes back for the ride along with you and supports you from the top down. So we'll be right back. You're listening to Making Life Brighter Radio. You can catch our shows on YouTube at Making Life Brighter. Like us and share, please. And also find us on Facebook and follow along there. Very good. We'll be right back. You're listening to Making Life Brighter Radio. We've got more.
Welcome back to Making Life Brighter with host and leading medical intuitive Winifred Adams on the Voice America Variety Channel, your preferred choice for conscious education and entertainment, featuring experts in their field and visionaries preparing the planet for the golden age and beyond. For more information, visit us at makinglifebrighter.com in the media section. Be sure to like us on Facebook at Making Life Brighter. If you have questions or comments, please email us at radio@makinglifebrighter.com. That's radio@makinglifebrighter.com. And now, back to the show with your host, Winifred Adams.
You're listening to Making Life Brighter Radio, and I'm your host, Winifred Adams. Thank you for listening and thank you for sharing. It's been great to be back on the air this year. I took a break during the pandemic, and it's really wonderful to be back and sharing with people again. You know, there's a lot of healer wannabes out there today, and I've been speaking to my colleagues, some of the very best in the world, of what they do. Each one of us is a little bit different. We have our own skill sets, we have our own understanding, but the difference between a wannabe healer and someone that's really done it, like I have done it for 20 some years, 25 years almost. Wow, means I'm old. We've walked through the fire. We've walked the serious walk of the spirit journey home. We've been tested where most people would turn the other direction or go a different way. We have seen many, many, many people in all different kinds of scenarios. And there is definitely something to the experience that you have working with the masters, the saints, the ascended masters, the angels, the spirit doctors, all of it. It's not a weekend warrior class, but it is a deeper and deeper assignment of holding steady to the nameless light, to the all that is, to the wisdom. And it's almost like being a wisdom keeper in a way. But people, especially today, young people are being inappropriately trained to think that if they're more psychic, then they're suddenly a healer. Well, nobody's really a healer. God's the healer. That's a fact. And for those that say there isn't a God, I would challenge that to ask you if you've ever had an experience at that level with a true living or ascended saint. Because when you have, there's a difference, and there's an experience that no one anywhere can shake out of you. There is a knowingness that comes with that changes your soul. It changes your entire being and your frequency. It's kind of like when people go into the beautiful ocean waters near Maui. And in that bay, the whales come each year in February and they give birth. And if you go into the water and you put your head down, you can hear the whales speaking to their young and calling out to one another. When you hear that frequency, it changes your body system. It changes your being all the way back to your soul permanently. There's something to that. And when you've had the walk through the fire experiences, when you've had the being called upon for the sake of another, despite yourself, you suddenly have a different experiential toolkit that comes along that only experience can give you. There's no amount of reading in a book. There's no amount of knowledge. In fact, after a while, I just put the books aside. People ask me, have you read this? Have you read that? No. When you have direct contact to knowledge, to the knowingness on a very subtle frequency, that raises the frequency so you understand the truth of a message that's coming through, or that it is actually a fact. And then time after time, it'll play out with, say, diagnostic blood work or a diagnosis in allopathic medicine to back that up. So you'll be having an experience that's, let's say, divinely guided, not on a lower frequency of the psychic level. It's a wisdom that comes on a frequency of a pathway. So when you're working with a more advanced true healer, what will happen is your soul will line up because you've come looking for that help, assistance, guidance, healing, remembrance, all of the above, whatever it is that you need. And your own spirit guides line up with the spirit guides of the healer. And now beautiful things can take place. However, if the person cannot receive, like if they want something, but they are not truly open-hearted and willing to receive humbly, then no matter what's provided in the download, the person will not be able to take it in and use it properly. So the first operation is to make sure that the body systems are clear. In other words, the mechanism by which you receive is operating at a frequency that allows you to receive as much as possible. It's almost like you're a radio transmitter and you have antenna, and you're pulling in messages via that antenna, which is true. Your telomeres are your antenna. So in a lower frequency thought form body, one that focuses on lower frequency subject matters like greed, lust, those things, your body telomeres will not be holding as much light. Therefore, literally, you don't take in as much light. And if someone blasted light at that kind of body, that body would feel maybe immediate relief, but it would also probably feel a little blown out. And it would not be able to hold that frequency steady. So it's really necessary that a person gently come into a healing, starting by cleaning up the body systems and growing those telomeres, which is, again, why I lean on those stem cell patches. It's a great, quick way to open up the telomeres for reaching to more light. And in doing so, the body comes into a harmonic. And this harmonic becomes a stabilizing, nurturing force. So when thought forms try to move the body back out of balance, the harmonic overrides the thought forms and continues as best it can to stay in balance. This is vital. And it is sometimes the difference between life and death for some people. So when someone's really ill in the hospital and an advanced healer comes along, maybe they put their hands on the person, maybe they're just transmitting through the frequency of any kind of scalar light, or just the divine love frequency all the way through. The body itself will absorb as much as possible because it wants to live. The thought processes that get in the way of receiving that are muted, particularly if the person is sedated or they're, intubated or something like that, because they can't get in the way of that overriding energy. So the body will entrain to that energy and have a bump in the healing. When a person is thinking, and they're continually thinking, they're weighing everything instead of receiving. And the thinking process can often negate the love that's being given. And it is love that's being given. Healing isn't healing. Healing is love. And when love is offered, if you're rejecting that, you're getting a limited version of healing. And it's really the person's choice as to what they receive, provided you have someone that's competent and really tuned in to the higher divine frequency of love. So when the body system is clear, the body system can receive, then insight can take place. And that insight is very valuable, very, very valuable for people. An insight can be an aha moment. And again, the mind likes to negate something beautiful and divine because it's naturally geared toward conundrums and tension and, the next reason to be tense. But the spirit is always in a relaxed, loving state. And the offering of love is truly a natural state of being. Children aren't generally in a uptight situation unless they have a need, or unless their spirit is trained away from them. So they're generally happy. And we learn over time to allow any kind of programming from others and from society to take over in the body systems. This affects you, and it gets stored and logged in all your tissue. You know, one of the books that I started with when I was in my 20s, and I loved this, was Feelings Buried Alive Never Die. Profound book. Very true. Way ahead of its time, but so true. For many, many years, for decades, people didn't want to talk about what they felt. They had to bury it and say that they didn't feel it because no one else wanted to hear it. It's the way it was. Be quiet and do your work. Be quiet and be a good wife. Be quiet and whatever. And then the indigo children came. And the indigo kids said, enough. We're going to set the stage and hold the frequency so the crystal children and the new wave of younger souls can come in and take hold of this and change. And you're starting to see that happen right now in real time. Now, some of the upheavals are the differential from the old system to the new system. But just the same, the game is, how much love can you hold? How much love frequency are you able to take in? Do you deny it when it's being given to you? Do you shirk it off? Do you say, oh yeah, okay, that's silly? Or do you receive it and just thrive on it? So when we come back, we're going to talk cleaning up the body systems. We're going to talk yeast and candida and why this is so serious right now, and how we can optimize you for the coming golden age, because it's here. Are you there? We're going to find out. Stay tuned. You're listening to Making Life Brighter Radio. Find us on Facebook. You can find me on Twitter under Winifred Adams. And you're listening on the Variety Channel right here on Voice America. And we are here every week at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. And we thank you for joining us. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
You are listening to Making Life Brighter, a presentation by the Quantum Galaxy Network for the Variety Channel on Voice America, featuring visionaries, thought leaders, and consciousness experts leading the way as we prepare the planet for the golden age and beyond. Right here on Making Life Brighter Radio with your host, leading medical intuitive Winifred Adams. Be sure to download the app. For more information, go to makinglifebrighter.com under media. Now, back to the show with your host, Winifred Adams.
Today, we're talking about healing, and we're talking about body system health and the ability to take in the divine loving light that heals the body, but also the chemistry of your body. And I spoke about this in the first segment of the show, but fungus is really something that's staged to plague our world, from the animal kingdom to the humans. And it's coming quickly. The hotter the temperature, the more sustained the heat, the more difficult it is, because it becomes a breeding ground for things like candida, yeast, and fungus. One would say, well, it only would be in damp conditions. With the onset of heat, the body will sweat quite a bit, or try to. The dampness will open a pathway, and in extreme heat of any kind, microbes of fungal are more present. So it's evident even in pets. Let's take dogs, for example. Under the dog's arms, sometimes you'll see sort of a blackness occur. You'll see a little bit of a darkening patch under their legs and arms and in the grooves of their leg attached to their body. This is a little bit of the fungal candida that can happen. And a simple way to take care of this is to put a stem cell patch on them. So X39 is very good. Sometimes Aeon, AEON, is very good because Aeon's for inflammation. But the X39 tends to balance the pet very quickly, no matter what pet it is. Honestly, the X39 can work really well. You could even take your day-old patches and put them on the pet, and that would be sufficient for the pet. But when you start to see that blackening there, I like to administer some trace minerals, sometimes a little bit of chloroxygen, liquid chlorophyll, none that doesn't have mint in it or anything like that, but just plain chloroxygen is mint-free generally. And trace minerals. Now, trace minerals are the building block of every single cell in the body. And I am a really, really staunch supporter of ionic trace minerals with acai from the company, the same company, Nature Sunshine, that I've been talking about for some of these other products in the other shows. Now, I do use a variety of companies for all things, but since they have the highest pharmaceutical grade testing, and they test for everything, they have a very, very pure line of not only minerals, but herbs. So the ionic trace minerals, which is liquid with acai, works so well. You just take a tablespoon of that, put it in some water, dilute it, take a dropper, and administer it to your dog, along with a few drops of sovereign silver, colloidal silver. In this case, from that company, it's called Silver Shield. This really helps clean up the beginning of any kind of fungal overgrowth. Sometimes you could even take Silver Shield gel and put it on that area topically. And if the animals lick it off, it's okay. It's safe for them. It doesn't matter. Sometimes you would even rub it into the gum lines of dogs. So it's not something that would be bad for them, but you want to use it as you need it, not necessarily every day just because. Animals tend to recover pretty quickly, and when they're fed the correct food and food that's not inflammatory for them, they tend to have a quicker response. Now, why is fungus so dangerous right now, and why is this such a pressing issue that we need to focus on? Well, fungus is like moss. You've seen moss on rocks in the forest, and the moss just grows all over the rock, and it can be peeled off, but it grows. This happens in a body. And when it happens in a body, more often than not, it's on the lining of your colon. It's attached to every single organ. I kind of joke and say it's like fur on your organs. And when you have fur on your organs, think about it. The sound radiance, the actual sound frequency coming from that organ is not coming out the way it should. It's not radiating out the way it should. And that sound is supposed to be picked up by neighboring organs, and organs in an organ system work together in a sound frequency harmonic. So when the fungus or candida is attached to just about every organ, including the brain, spine, everything, it's like moss on your organs, and it mutes the frequency. It also becomes a breeding ground for parasites, virus, bacterial infections. It weakens the immune system. All of these things have an effect on the harmonic and the biofrequency of your body. When this is present, the body then takes more minerals to try and correct the dysfunctional organ. So it's leaching your body of minerals. It's pulling minerals that you need. When the minerals become out of balance, now the body systems become out of balance. So your thinking can get a little wild as well. And you wouldn't think so, except for what is fungus? Well, it's a microbe. Well, if the microbes are overpowering the natural organic cells in vibratory radiance, then what will happen is the vibratory frequency of the microorganism is stronger and overrides the harmonic of the actual organic human. So in other words, your microbes are louder than you. They're the ones craving something. They're the ones driving you to perform or underperform in a certain way. They're having an effect on what you choose, what you think, how you feel, if you're sluggish or not. And over time, if this is left untouched, many organ systems will become weakened, such as the thyroid, such as the colon will become sluggish, the liver might feel backed up, the body system's not filtering properly anymore. And then the hormones can go out of whack, and the organs associated with the hormones, like the thyroid, the adrenals, the pituitary gland, all of these end up being very affected. So spirit healing is important, and spirituality can bring about healing for sure. Pulling in divine light and love can bring about all kinds of change in a body. And it can override these little microbes. But there is a biological component to being in a body and in a vessel, and that biological component requires some upkeep. Similar to the ego mind that I always say doesn't stop. And it's like mowing the lawn. You have to continually go mow the lawn and keep that ego at bay, because otherwise it grows again. And that's just a fact. But one day when your spirit overrides that, then you're no longer mowing the lawn like you used to. You're just doing minor upkeep. Same with the body systems. Yeast and candida is a real bear to get rid of. And so one of my favorite things is when you have that in your system, it's a good idea to get muscle tested to find out. And we can do muscle testing remotely or in person. But one of my favorite go-tos for this is called yeast and fungal detox. And you can find the link on Making Life Brighter. Look under the flower essences link and you can find the product there. Yeast and fungal detox is not only an antifungal, but it's an immune stimulant. And fungus, if it is left untouched, it can keep invading these organ systems. It can make you have foggy brain. You can feel like you're not quite clear, like you are forgetting things suddenly. Do you have dementia? Well, only a diagnosis from a doctor could tell you that, but oftentimes you're just having an overgrowth of things that you don't need in your system. And I'll tell you something interesting in regards to trace minerals, because trace minerals rebalance at the core of every cell. So they bring the harmonic or the frequency of every cellular structure back into balance. Biocell salts and trace minerals are key to your health. And when they're out of balance, these things start to grow. So Dr. Chas Littlefield said, who's an analytical chemist, he said, the 12 mineral salts, in a very real sense, the material basis of the organs and tissue of the body, and are absolutely essential to their integrity of structure and functional activity. Mineral salts, trace minerals. Experiments prove that the various tissue cells will rapidly disintegrate in the absence of the proper proportion of these salts in the circulating fluid, whereas the maintenance of this proportion ensures healthy growth and perpetual renewal. These mineral salts are therefore the physical basis of all healing. Regardless of the school employed, if these are absent from the blood and tissue, no permanent cure is possible. Therefore, if you are not uptaking or don't have enough minerals in your body, I've seen this, I'm telling you firsthand, people have come back to life overnight by taking those trace minerals. So ionic trace minerals with a psi is the first stepping stone to pulling that back into your system and getting those going. And it's a very balanced combination that's easy on anyone to take. But yeast fungal detox is one of the go-tos for fungus and candida. It helps with the digestive system issues, any kind of liver issues, intestinal issues. It works on the urinary system even. People don't think of that. Oh, I have a urinary infection. Well, maybe I have yeast in my system, not just a yeast infection, but it might actually be in the colon lining. It might actually be in the bloodstream, and the body keeps trying to get rid of it. So yeast fungal detox is a safe and effective way, and it's used for fungal infections, Candida albicans, inflammatory bowel disease, IBS, itching ears. It's good for any kind of, even athletes, jock itch, things like that, leaky gut syndrome. For some people that have mental illness, sugar cravings, athlete's foot, belching. There's so many things. And in hot weather like this, in damp, hot weather, you're going to have more proliferation of this type of thing. So a round of yeast fungal detox wouldn't hurt you. And we're going to come back. I have more for you. So when we come back from break, I'm going to share with you the rest of that formula. It's so powerful and so important right now. And it's something you really should know about. First of all, trace minerals. Secondly, yeast fungal detox. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. For more information, please visit us at makinglifebrighter.com. If you'd like more information on intuitive coaching, coursework, or to book an appointment with medical intuitive Winifred Adams, please email us at radio@makinglifebrighter.com. Be sure to like us on Facebook and download the app. Go to makinglifebrighter.com for more information. And now, back to the show with your host, Winifred Adams.
Today, we're talking about body system health, and we're talking about yeast and the necessity to make sure that your organs are not furry, and why minerals are so key to your healing. So I want to read you a few things that I think are really important by some other researchers, and it speaks to the concept that your body works in harmony. You see, what I see a lot is people bring in literally a basket full of stuff they're taking because they went to the store and they, oh, I need some of this, and then I need some of that, and I have all these minerals, and they literally have a laundry basket apothecary by the time they come in. Well, your body is like a computer, and it can't handle all that. It needs to take in things in a balanced manner. And sometimes you have to correct with more of one mineral for a while than another. But eventually what you'll do is you'll go back to the balance of those minerals. Hence, the ionic trace minerals with acai is a very comprehensive trace mineral blend that helps you balance out the electrical currents in your system, thereby bringing up the life of your body. And so this is interesting. This is acid and alkali acting, proceeding and acting again, operating, transmuting, fomenting, in throes and spasms of pain, uniting, reacting, creating, like souls passing under the rod. Some people call it chemistry and others call it God. I love that. I want you to hear this though. This is a really important thing. This is Carrie, and he says here, a shadow cannot be removed by chemicals. Neither can disease be removed by poison. There's nothing, no thing to be removed in either case. But there is a deficiency to be supplied. The shadow may be removed by supplying light to the space covered by the shadow. That's where healers come in. People look for their light to override and entrain the space that has too much dark. So symptoms called disease disappear or cease to manifest when the food called for is furnished. Having learned that disease is not a thing, but a condition due to lack of some inorganic constituent of the blood, and we focus on the blood quite a bit, it follows naturally that the proper method of cure is to supply the blood with that which is lacking. In the treatment of disease, the use of anything not a constituent of the blood is unnecessary. That's interesting, right? So he's saying when a deficiency occurs in any of these workers through a non-assimilation of food, poor action of a liver or a digestive process, dematerialization of the body commences, it begins. So what we call dis-ease is the breaking down of an organ system not receiving its correct mineral component at any given time. And to balance that back is so vital. Now, when I do iridology readings and body system analysis, and I used to teach this for an institute, it would prove true across the board, no matter what holistic modality you're using. So whether it's iridology, the analysis of the colored portion of the iris, you're looking at sclerology, the white of the eye, you're looking at the pulse in the body, you're looking at the tongue, you're looking at the face, you're looking at the body system, or you're testing the body manually. All of it should line up to say the same thing. And I found that to be true when I started out doing this work. And it's what led me down a path of great accuracy in working with people, even if the people never, ever, ever told me anything. They never said a word to me. I said, don't tell me anything, I'll tell you what's going on. And that would be proving true at the end of that experiment each time. And then they would heal much faster. The only thing that gets in the way of that is somebody that's not willing to heal. So going back to the fungal component in a body, when you're cleaning fungus out, because it's sometimes difficult to get all that fur off, it's difficult. It's kind of it's prolific. It goes everywhere pretty quickly. So yeast fungal detox is one of the better ways to do it. A component of blood cleaning is always necessary. Taking some of the backup, the waste in the blood out. And yarrow herb is a really great way to do it. Yarrow tea, yarrow herb, it's a blood purifier. It's an anti-inflammatory, it's an antifungal, it's an antibacterial, it's an antiseptic. It's a coagulant of sorts. It's a nervine. It's a styptic even. And it's so many things. Yarrow is like a go-to home run for blood cleaning and a gentle way to sort of remind the body, there, dear, we're not going to do this over here. We're going to correct this way. And the yarrow has a tremendous quality. It's for fungal infections. It's for fibroids. It's for candida. It's used for pneumonia even, or scar tissue, for shingles and for skin infections. It's a detoxifier. So this is a great combination. The yeast fungal detox and the yarrow together would be super duper for anybody. Now, there are some other choices, and another go-to that I use for people often is caprylic acid combination. Caprylic acid combination is also an antifungal, and caprylic acid is known to kind of starve off the fungus, if you will. The acid of it tends to go after that. So you could use caprylic acid and yeast fungal detox together with trace minerals and yarrow, and that would be very comprehensive. To get the candida out, it takes a while. So plan on doing it for a month or two. Sometimes if it's really bad in a system and you're having toe fungus, you're having fungus in your body, you're going to need to do it for like 3 months on, and then do parasite cleansing, colon cleansing in 3 months again. It's a process. You didn't get there overnight, so it has to be an unwinding process. It's good that you find an expert that can help you walk through that process, because oftentimes if you don't know what these things are doing and you don't have the guidance, maybe you might overdo in one direction. None of the herbs will actually do anything to you that are harmful, just that people could use some guidance through it, and what you combine with it might affect how it's working. So this company that I love, Nature Sunshine, they came up with a combination called Candida Clear, and Candida Clear kind of put everything together in one, and that was pretty good too. But I'm breaking it down for you so you know the components that you could look for that are really great. Yeast fungal detox is one of the most profound antifungal combinations, along with caprylic acid, trace minerals, and yarrow for quick cleanup. For someone that's having reoccurring yeast infections, that coupled with a very strong probiotic on a regular basis would be wonderful and would bring this back into balance very quickly. The other thing I would do after that is go into parasites, and we'll talk about that another week. But if you have questions or comments, you can email me directly at makinglifebrighter@yahoo.com. I'm testing people all the time. We're working through everything you can imagine, and we're doing it naturally and holistically. So if you'd like a consult or you would like to engage in a healing program, we can do that. Thank you for listening, everybody. And again, the link is at makinglifebrighter.com. You can look under the flower essences link there, and you will find the company that I have just cited these herbs from. So go jolly out there, and we will continue our healing programs. See you next week, and share, and stay cool. Everybody, please drink water, but take those trace minerals because that will help you hold your water in your body better. So go jolly, everybody. Have a great summer.